Right, good to have you here. The question I keep getting is the same one I bet brought you here. With AI flooding everything, is YouTube even still a place where animation can survive? My name's Kim, I've spent 20 years in this craft and I've watched the tools, the platform and the audience change underneath me more than once. So, let me give you an honest answer. Not a panic, not a sales pitch, about where you and your story actually fit. If you appreciate me making this type of content, let me know by gently tapping that like button. All right, let's dive in. So let's start with the real fear, because I don't think it's the one people say out loud. Everyone frames it as AI versus the artist. But the thing that actually keeps a small creator up at night is simpler than that. It's this: a machine can now spit out a finished looking cartoon in an afternoon. Something that used to take you, or a small team, months. And when that's true, you start to wonder, is there any room left for the individual? For the person who still wants to make the thing by hand? That's the question, and I want to answer it properly. Now, to do that, I have to be honest about what's changed, because a lot has. I grew up on Saturday morning cartoons. You get up early, you sit too close to the TV, and that was the appointment. That whole world is gone. People still love cartoons, and they love them as much as they ever did, but what they watch them for has changed, and where they watch them has changed even more. It's small screens now. It's a feed. The story structure shifted in front of that. The way we consume it shifted, and honestly, the patience shifted too. And here's the part I won't dance around. AI has genuinely changed the craft of animating. It's let someone with no artistic ability at all prompt something that looks visually appealing. The quality bar and the expectation bar both dropped. But suddenly, there's so much of it. And when there's that much content, the love and the care somebody poured into a single frame can get completely lost in the noise. It's real. I'm not going to tell you it isn't. The market's changed, the consumption's changed, and the passion of the masses changed with it. Quick break. If you want to follow this channel as I work through all of this in real time, the wins, the dead ends, the best thing you can do is subscribe. It generally helps the small creator more than you'd think. Links right there. And there's more in the pinned comments below. Right, back to it. But here's where the story turns. If accessibility tools and a flooded feed were the end of the handcrafted animation, then a small film called Flow should never have happened. If you haven't seen it, Flow is a story about a cat who survived a catastrophic flood and journeys across a drowned world with a handful of other animals. No dialogue, just craft. And here's what gets me about it. It came out of Latvia and it was made in Blender. Free, open source software. The exact kind of accessible tools people say is killing the craft. The core team in Latvia was tiny, something like 2 or 3 people handling the heavy lifting. It took 5.5 years, and it won the Academy Award and the Golden Globes for Best Animated Feature. The first time a Latvian production has ever won either. Sit with that for a second. The cheapest, most accessible tool in the room didn't kill the craft. It put an Oscar in the hands of a tiny team who had a real story and the patience to make it by hand. The tool got cheaper, the craft and the story are what won. That's the whole thing, right there. And it's not just the festival darlings. YouTube itself still breaks people through. Look at Glitch. They blew up off the back of the Amazing Digital Circus and Murder Drones. And now you've got Knights of Guinevere and Lackadaisy on their books with a mountain of expectations riding on them. People still love cartoons. The door's still open. It just doesn't look like the door we used to walk through. So where does that leave you? Where do you fit? Let me answer that with my own channel, because it's the most honest example I've got. My first video went up in early 2008, a short film called Toilet Training. You know, it was just a one-line gag about a kid getting swallowed by a toilet. This channel's old. It has rolled with every single wave you can name. And Here's the bit I find funny now, looking back. The most consistent, productive stretch this channel ever had was a couple of years when I was uploading all the time. And that lined up exactly with my least productive period professionally. I simply had the time. Then work picked up and the channel went quiet for a good while. And only recently have I started uploading consistently again. I'm not telling you that as a confession. I'm telling you because it's the answer. You can't control how this industry changes. You can't control the tools, the platform, or what the audience decides it wants this year. What you can do, the only thing you can do, is keep finding where your story fits in the version of the industry that exists right now. That search is not the obstacle. That search is the journey. That's the craft underneath the craft. So is YouTube still where animation survives? Yes, not the way it used to be. But for the individual, for the small team with a real story and the patience to make it by hand, there's still a door. And Flow just proved that you can walk an Oscar straight through it. If you want to see what this actually looks like for me right now, I made a video on exactly how I'm building my own graphic novel, Dark Angel. You can check it out by clicking right here. I'll see you in the next one. Keep animating that entertains.